William Morrow and HarperAudio present The Ancestor, a novel, by Danielle Trussoni, performed by Heather Masters. 1. To discover you are the heir to a noble title in the 21st century is like winning a fortune in the lottery, the Mega Millions, or a Powerball jackpot, only to find your prize will be paid out in francs or liras. Suddenly you are rich, but rich in a currency that has no value in the modern world. Or so it seemed to me upon learning that I was the last living descendant of the ancient house of Montebianco, a family whose power, from the Middle Ages to the unification of Italy in the 19th century, was immense, whose sons, because only sons mattered in those unenlightened times, had fought religious wars and married minor princesses and sired noble children, but whose fortunes and fertility had diminished as the modern world rose, leaving me, Bert Monte, a 28-year-old American woman with few social graces and zero knowledge of European history, the sole blood heir to an ancestral domain in the mountains of northern Italy. It all began early one Saturday morning just before Christmas. I was living alone, although Luca's things were still at the house. He'd been taking clothes to his new apartment slowly, week by week, a pair of jeans here, a t-shirt there, in an effort to keep our lives intertwined. His plan was working. We saw each other often, and had even gone out for dinner and a movie the month before. While we'd been separated for 6 months, and it had been my idea for him to move out, I found it comforting to have my husband around. We'd been together for nearly 10 years, and despite the problems, which were mostly my problems, as we both would agree, it was hard to imagine life without him. My parents were both gone, and I had no brothers or sisters, aunts or uncles or cousins. Luca was the only family I had. Until, that is, the letter arrived from Italy. A knock came at the door, and I left off decorating the Christmas tree, a 3-foot fir festooned with tinsel and blinking lights, to answer. It was a cold, sunny December morning, the sky so bright that the envelope glinted like a mirror in my hand. I signed my name on an electronic pad, wished the delivery man happy holidays, and was back inside before I saw that the envelope was addressed not to me, Bert Monte, but to someone named Alberta Isabel Eleanor Vittoria Montebianco. I sat down at the kitchen table, pushing aside tinsel and glass bulbs so that I could get a better look. The return address was from Torino, Italia. A parade of bright Italian stamps floated at the top right corner of the glossy envelope. The words, Alberta Isabel Eleanor Vittoria Montebianco, scrolled across the center. Although everyone called me Bert, my given name was Alberta, so that part made sense. I was hesitant to open something that might not belong to me, but Alberta was my name after all, and the address was my address. And so without further debate, I ripped the envelope open. A sheaf of thick A4-sized pages fell into my hand. The top page was covered in calligraphy, and in the bottom right corner, gleaming like a first-place medal, shone a golden seal of a castle floating above 2 mountains. The paper alone was something to behold. Heavy bond linen stock, creamy and thick, with an ink signature pressed into the fiber by the nib of a fountain pen. The text was dense and entirely foreign. Turning the pages, I tried to find something I could understand, but aside from the name Montebianco, which appeared about every other line, it was entirely incomprehensible. Holding up the envelope, I said the name out loud. Alberta Isabel Eleanor Vittoria Montebianco, fumbling over the syllables as if I were a child learning to read. My first thought was to call Luca. He always knew what to do. Logical, reliable, sane. These were the qualities I loved about him, and the qualities that bound us still, even after all the rough times we'd been through.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?